Hey, good afternoon, my people. What's up? Hope and trust that the day is going good. The time now is 1 minute before the 3 p.m. hour, and the date is the 27th of January, 2026. How do I start this? No, as you will see from my backdrop there, the one that I'm going with now for this video is the bell cannot be unrung. You know, when you ring a bell, you just can't ring it. You don't ring, you know? Um, I know me. I know who I am. And I normally, once I'm upset, I normally go to sleep. And when I'm upset, I'm not as boisterous as I normally am. A sense of quietness come over me. And I try to think long and hard before I let go myself. Because once I let go myself, there's no coming back. That is who I am. If there's a weakness that I have, that is a weakness in me. If I that is a weakness in me if I'm supposed to think of a weakness that I have. Once I make up my mind that I'm going there, I'm going there. So I take my time, I take my time and get vexed. I take my time and get vexed. And that wasn't me all the time. I had to learn it, I had to learn that. And for the most part, that's where I am. For the most part, no, that's where I am. Very few things get me upset at this point in my life. Yesterday there was a furor on the radio waves, even going into the night with the situation with the leadership of the United Progressive Party. Um, that has been spoken about, and everybody has given their opinion. I've given my opinion on that also. Then come today, a few hours after, one of the main actors, if I could put it that way, or one of the main persons, um, came with a totally different tone today. Um, I'm not even gonna get into, the readout of what he said and blah 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 blah. But as persons would say, the elders would say, he came today eating some humble pie. And it is not for me to judge the person. I'm not gonna judge the person. He said what he would have said. He came today, he said what he said, and I take it for that. And it's not for me to judge him. There are two other actors that I will listen to. One more during the latter part of today, and one, if not tomorrow, today's Tuesday, yeah, tomorrow on another program. And then that will tell me if the message came down from on high. That's how I'm going to put it. That will tell me if the message came down from on high. I can bet these two index finger on one of them. He now changed his position. I never thought to myself that he was a strategic part of what I see to be the plan. Um, I personally believe that his exuberance was being used against him to the benefit of others. That's my opinion, but time will tell. Time will tell all. But I'll watch. Well, not watch. I'll wait to hear. As I say, I could bet these two index fingers that he now come off where he did. We can bet that. And the other one that I listen to tomorrow, that will tell me if the message came down from on high, as I said before. Um, the bell was wrong already, and it can't be unwrong. That's why I'm going with that back up there. No, I'm not a member of the United Progressive Party. I'm never going to be a paying member of the United Progressive Party. The possibility exists that I will support the United Progressive Party going into the future. For how long depends on what their performance would be. I don't know. Because as I said, and I'll say it again, I support parties that I believe is the best bet for the country. Simple logic for me. That's all I do. I just support parties. If I once I determine that this is the party at this point in time, that's the best thing for Antigua and Barbuda. So that will work out itself as we go on. But we would have, well, let me not say we. I being involved in what I'm involved in, used to be in radio and following the politics, etc., etc. I would have followed what would have happened when the UPP had its last leadership convention or convention with the Delta leader, and Jamal Pringle came out as a leader, and we know what would have happened afterwards. For me, and I'm sure if people are honest, I've said it simple, simple, simple. It's not a hard thing. This is the position of the majority of the electorate. And if I cannot agree with the position of the majority of the electorate, I have no other choice but just to leave. I don't have the right to mash up the people and them things. That has been my position from the very beginning. I am not going to debate somebody saying you can't lead me. I understand that. But I never heard it being said that the convention was not free and fair. I never heard that coming forth. So I figured, well, look, if you can't deal with what the majority have said, just leave. It's as simple as that. Just leave. So I really thought that those persons who orchestrated certain things after the convention, I thought that they did the UPP a disservice. I said it, so I'm on record with that. That eventually seemingly went away. Even though I still, in speaking to people speaking to me, I still heard of some things happening. And then boom, all of a sudden, a few days ago, here we are again. Basically the same argument in terms of leadership and certain actors or certain persons not wanting to accept what the position, democratically arrived that position is at the present moment. So that's two times now that has raised its head. Now, I would have heard, as I said, the gentleman on the radio and another party person, an MP as a matter of fact, I just don't want to call names, would have called in and spoke about, you know, we need to keep focus because this is the bigger fight. And I agree with that reasoning. But there's only one problem. Going back to the bell being wrong. How do you unring the bell when the bell was already rung? And I sat and I thought about that because, as I said, I am not going to judge no one. That is for God to do. Um, I sat and I said to myself two times now, Dave, the same thing. So how do you move forward here? And in my quiet time, the idea came to me, or the thought came to me. And I'm speaking for me, myself. I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm speaking for myself. I believe that the machinery of the United Progressive Party owes it to their membership, one, their supporters, two, and possible supporters, three, going into the next election. I think they ought to come out publicly, and I'm not talking about sending out a statement. I believe that they need to call a press conference, and I believe that they ought to publicly indicate their their what word am I looking for? Their approval of the leader, the political leader of the UPP, going forward until they would have had another exercise to change that leader. I think that that is important to happen. Why I think that that is important to happen? Somebody's going to say, "Oh, I mean, I have to go and tell nobody this and me. Why make me have to go and tell somebody?" I agree. I don't have an argument with those persons who would say that. But here's the issue that I have. If I can't trust that there is some level of stability, if I can't trust that there's some level of stability in the United Progressive Party going forward from this leadership standpoint, how am I going to be convinced that if I am to vote for the United Progressive Party, that there will not be that argument leading to who would the prime minister be? Because the last time I checked, we don't vote for prime minister in Antigua and Barbuda. Sorry, we don't vote for prime minister. It is I think it's three ways. First way, from the party that would have won the most seats, they would write to the governor general and say, "This is our leader." Or if that's not the case, I think it then goes to the whole house. Who the whole house have confidence in, then that will become the prime minister. And if that doesn't work, then I think at that stage it's in the opinion of the governor general, um, who he or she believes the prime minister ought to be. I think that's how it goes, right? So in the absence of certain reassurance in terms of not having to go through this debacle for a third, a fourth, a fifth time, how do I know that if the United Progressive Party, well, you have to get 9 seats to form the government, they win 10 seats? How do I know that we don't have this argument, this corrupt, this whatever you want to call it, playing out itself again at that time? You know, I think that well, at least let me not speak for the members because they're members, but as a person who I believe the party would want to secure their vote, and as many votes of independent thinkers outside who are not party members, I think that some assurance need to be given that there is some level of stability within the UPP as it pertains to this leadership thing. Not that the leader is not constitutionally known and decided upon. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the constant bickering in relation to leadership that has now blown out twice. And I would dare say the UPP would be in a more stronger position today if persons have accepted, hey, this is the will of the majority. We're working with what the will of the majority say until the next time that it comes up for consideration. That's just my opinion, you know. So that is how I'm thinking about that. I will wait and watch and see what happens, what the party does. And of course, as who it is? Oh, one of another supporter, I believe, of the party who is not a member would normally say, my vote is just one vote. My vote is just one vote, you know? And so every time I heard him say that, or I hear him say that, I always smile to myself because if I'm not mistaken, I think in Barbuda some time ago, the position was decided by one vote. And I'm hearing here in Antigua, when you look at it, the government was decided by 6 votes. So one vote I know can make a difference. That's it for now, my friend. Let me wait and watch and see what happens. What reassurance will be given to the pool from which the UPP will seek to benefit politically. Let's see how they look at us. Take care, my people.